But before we do that, I think we have to take roll. Okay, thank you.
Chair Morris,
Here.
Vice Chair Corrigan,
Here.
Commissioner Ye, Commissioner Daly,
Here.
Commissioner Valadez,
Here.
Commissioner Wang, so we do have a quorum.
Before I introduce the Chair Morris, Donna Leahy, Recreation Community Services Director. Before I introduce the Public Arts Commission Subcommittee, I recommend that you approve the minutes.
Right, thank you. And I'm sorry, I may be out of order on this, and we also need to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So we have a couple of things before we get to the presentation. Okay, so in order to approve the minutes, I need to find out, does anybody have any corrections that they feel need to be made?
So I actually think, I think Chair Morris, we need to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then we'll move to the minutes.
Sorry. All right, let's go the other way. Okay, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so with that done, now we can approve the minutes. Does anybody have any concerns or changes that they feel need to be made to the minutes? No? Okay. I did have one correction. I think it's going to end up being corrected anyway later, and it's in the it's in the section of our discussion about the guidelines, and there's the word objections, I think it is, and I think we want objectives in there, and that was the only thing I saw. So
that's in the attached guidelines?
Yes.
Yep, I can correct that.
Okay, great. And as far as I know, that's it. Does anybody else have anything now that I've pointed out one? No? Okay, looks like we're all set. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Commissioner Daly has something to say.
No, I move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you. And maybe get a second?
I second.
Vice Chair Corrigan. Thank you.
Chair Morris, are you ready for the roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Okay, Chair Morris,
Yes.
Vice Chair Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Valadez,
Yes.
and Commissioner Daly.
Yes.
I have a unanimous vote.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, now to what I was trying to jump ahead to. We have the Art Commission with us, and I'll let Director Leahy take over.
Thank you. So first of all, this is going to be a two-part action. So the first action would be to receive the presentation this evening from the Public Arts Commission Community Art Engagement Subcommittee. And the members of the subcommittee are Vice Chair King, Commissioner Moore, and Commissioner Corrigan. So welcome to the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. So the idea is to hear their presentation and to take a vote on whether or not this Parks and Recreation Commission would like to assist them with their project in Grant Park on June 25th. And then we will take the vote, and if the commission would like to stay on, you're more than welcome to, but you will be excused after the vote is taken. And then we will continue to discuss the pop-up activities as it relates to the members on the Parks and Recreation Commission, what their special interests and skill sets are, and perhaps partnering with other commissions and nonprofits in Los Altos. So with that, I will drive the PowerPoint and I will pull it up now, or unless okay, I will do that. And so,
And I'll start. Thank you, Donna, and to all the members of the commission for having us. We know your time is busy, so we will keep it brief. And as I said, just thank you for having us. I'm Hillary, and I am on the Public Arts Commission along with Janet and Jenna. We make up the sort of community outreach subcommittee. We try to do events that can engage the public and sort of get people interested in both art and the city of Los Altos. And if you want to go to the next slide onto the objective. There we go. And our objective with this event, with the rock painting party, is to partner with Parks and Rec to host a community engagement event to promote public art and local parks, while also getting input from residents that will help us to advise the city council and advance the city mission to foster and maintain Los Altos as a great place to live and raise a family. A lot of people don't know the value of Grant Park and what a great park it is. So we've been trying to make an effort to not only put art there, but also have events there. And so this is kind of rolled into one activity, the rock painting party. We'll get into the details of it, but we want to use that to promote both the public art and the local parks and give people, the community, a chance to engage with each other. And with that, I'll let the other commissioners take the reins. If you want to go on to the next slide.
Thank you, Commissioner King. So just to give you a little bit of background, we have been reaching out to the community and planning this since last fall. We had our first event in March at the community center, and it was focused on having attendees paint a version of the Heritage Orchard in downtown. And I have to say, it was a smashing success. We had 25 people attend, ranging in age from 17 to seniors, and several people had to give up their seats, including Council Member Lee Ang, who came and not only gave up her seat, but she helped us manage the event. We also were fortunate enough to have Council Member Weinberg and Council Member Flygor come toward the end of the event. And that was really great because I think a lot of residents had never had the opportunity to meet them. 100% of the attendees gave us feedback, with minus 2 people, and it was off the charts. I've never seen scores that high, but people really enjoyed the opportunity to get to meet with other residents, to engage in a fun artistic activity, and to also explore our community center, which was really fun. So with that background, I just wanted to move on to the next slide, which Commissioner Moore will take.
Great, thank you, Janet. So the next event that we wanted to host is a kindness art rock painting project. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this, but in case you're not, it was something that was really brought to light during the pandemic, where people would paint inspirational quotes on rocks and leave them all throughout for people to find and uncover. So our intention is to have people paint 2 rocks, one to keep for themselves and another for them to keep at Grant Park. And we'd like to create a collection of them, ideally under the new dog that was installed on the backside of Grant Park. We think that would be a nice addition to that piece. And people would be welcome to take the rocks or, enjoy them, just walk by and view them. So if you want to go to the next slide, I can go into detail about the event. So again, we're wanting to host it at Grant Park, and ideally we would like to have it, have tables set up in between the 2 buildings. The timing would be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Our target is people 5 and up. We would really like to have children involved, as our other event we saw mostly more of an older population, so we'd like to really reach out to the kids this time. The cost is free, and in terms of publicity, we were thinking that we could have Gabriel post in the city manager update, and then different avenues of social media Facebook, Nextdoor. And then perhaps if Parks and Rec would like to post something on their site, we're open to all different avenues of publicizing the event. And then in terms of reservations, we did have some feedback last time about the difficulty with setting up the accounts through Parks and Rec. So I don't know if there's a way to maybe streamline the process, or we can just have people email either Parks and Rec or the Public Arts Commission. So if we want to go to the next slide.
So I guess our proposal is for you is we would like to invite you all to attend and maybe help us with setup, facilitating the event, cleanup, or show up for any portion of the events. It's a great opportunity to meet residents and gather, and see the new sculpture actually. The benefit of the timing, the way it worked out this time, is that the logistics are pretty much done. So you wouldn't have to do a lot of work. So I think that's already been done. Planning's been done. We're basically just getting ready to send out messaging. So with that said, I guess we'll open it up, Chair Morris, to if anyone has any suggestions for what we should consider, or if there are any questions that we can answer.
Perfect. That would be great. If anybody does have any questions, please let them know. I see a couple hands. Commissioner Valada's hand went up first, and then Commissioner Daly, you'll be next.
Hi, thanks for bringing this to us. I really appreciate it. Sounds like super fun. Is Karen Drucker involved in this in any way?
No.
No.
Okay. One of my questions is how, it has to do with the everyone is an artist, and potentially this one, you offer them free to the public. How are you funding it?
So maybe I can take that one. We actually did charge for the Everyone is an Artist event. And with this particular event, some of it's gonna, we're just gonna fund it out of our pocket. Some of the funds we actually are going to get reimbursed from the city, and the cost is going to be de minimis. The rocks themselves are free, thanks to Commissioner Moore. And it's just, a matter of, putting together some brushes, some paints, and so it should be a very inexpensive event.
Okay, and my final question.
So the Arts Commission does have a small budget, so this fits within, this is probably an under $200 event, so it's well within the regular Arts Commission budget allocated for projects just like this by the City Council.
Okay, and my final question is, did you plan on putting any ads in the town crier?
I don't think we'll need to. We had such a strong turnout for the other event that I think we'll be able to, we're going to cap it at 25, so it's manageable. I think between Nextdoor and social media, I think we'll probably try to run a community listing in the town crier, but I don't think we need to buy an ad. I think we'll do all right without it.
All right, thank you.
So Commissioner Daly is next, and then, but I wanted to recognize that Commissioner Ye has joined us now. Welcome.
My question is simple. What time? I'm marking my calendar right now.
Great.
It's June 25th, and it'll be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
If you want to come help, I think you can come as early as like 9, and we will take help at 8:30 or 9, but we can circle back and communicate that as we get closer.
Sure. I'll show up with coffee and bagels at 9 o'clock.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from any commissioners? Clarifying questions? No? Okay. Casey, do we have any questions or any members of the public with their hands raised?
We do not. Our 2 members of the public right now are other public art commissioners.
Thank you very much. They probably know what's going on then. Okay, so is there any further discussion? Any commissioners, Vice Chair Corrigan, do you have any questions, or Commissioner Ye? Anything that you need?
I-
Yes,
I do.
Vice Chair Corrigan.
I do have a question. I did notice the question about the registration challenges. So I was wondering if that's something we need to learn more about as a commission for future pop-up activities, the streamlining of the process. I don't know if you can clarify kind of what happened with the registration challenges.
Sure. So I wanted to go about it just like the general public does. So I went to the Parks and Rec site, and then, or I think I emailed the Public Arts Commission, then I was sent to the Parks and Rec site, and I just had to go through like a series of links, and then I had to create an account. And I know there was some concern too with creating a pretty, some people felt that it was a little invasive because you had to include your birth date and everything. And I don't really know why that was necessary, but if that's, you know, the way it's done, that's fine. But there were just a lot of links. It wasn't very clear how to find the event itself either under the Parks and Rec listing site. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I could, through the chair.
Yes, please, Director Legge.
So Casey is very familiar with the setup of the Civic Rec. That's our software for registration for programs and services. I'm sure there are other avenues, so I'll let her speak to it. But we also have used Eventbrite in the past, and there are other options that we can look at. And both myself and the liaison, John Maginot, to the Public Art Commission can work closely with our PIO, the Public Information Office, to look at other avenues for promoting and advertising. Casey, do you want to address the registration, please?
I'd be happy to. With our Civic Rec software system, you do have to create an account. It does require 2 pages of questions, and the mandatory questions include your date of birth, your gender, a phone number, an email, and a home address. Anyone that you add to your account also needs to have a date of birth and a gender. We do have that set up so they're all, anyway, it's two separate pages. If you decide to promote your event through Civic Rec and handle the registration that way, there is a direct link, and there is also a QR code that I can create when I create that link for that system or for that event. I can send you that QR code. I can send you that direct link, and it would take anyone who clicks it directly to the registration for that special event.
Oh, great. Okay.
So we are learning more about the system as we get into it. Our front office staff is also well equipped to handle any questions, walking people through creating an account. They can also help people create an account over the phone just by asking those questions. So we would definitely want to include the front desk phone number if you decided to go about handling the registration through the recreation department.
Okay, thank you, Casey. I love the idea of the QR code, but I also want to create a method for those less internet savvy, you know, yeah. Okay, great.
We work with a variety of people in the community, and I know our seniors have a difficult time, so we try to make it as user-friendly as possible and provide assistance.
Great, that's wonderful. Thank you.
So Chairman.
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. All right. Just a little glitch on my end. I have a couple questions myself, but I just want to circle back and make sure everybody has their questions answered with the rest of the commission. It looks like no additional hands or anybody frantically waving. Okay, great. So I'm wondering about, do we have to, or do you feel that we have to have people sign up in advance? Okay. And have you considered more than 25?
We think that 25 is an appropriate number based on the experience with our last event. We felt that it was intimate, but it was manageable. I think more than 25 might get a little too chaotic, and we might lose sight of, I think things could just, kind of get out of control, for lack of a better word. 25 seems like the sweet spot.
Okay.
Especially being, if we're going to have it outdoors, I think if you don't have signups, then it could just sort of be chaos of people coming, and we can't also adequately plan for how many, and paint and brushes and things like that. And 25, as it says, is a good number. It's manageable. If it gets to be more than that, I think it will get really quite chaotic, and that would be great. So I think this is manageable. And since we've already had an event and sort of provided one for the community, hopefully people will recognize, okay, I did that one, maybe someone else can do the next one. So.
Okay, thank you. So I think if there are no additional questions, oh, looks like Commissioner Daly has a question, and also Commissioner Valdez. So we'll start with Daly this time and then go to Valdez.
This may be a question for staff, but I presume we're going to have to, as volunteers, we actually have some hoops to jump through as well. Volunteer forms to fill out, and waivers and so on. All the stuff we had to do for the Easter thing.
Yes.
So send me the stuff that I need to volunteer, please.
Okay. Once the commission as a full commission takes a vote and it's in a majority, then we will take the next steps.
Oh, didn't realize I didn't realize this was an action item. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Valdez, you have a question?
Yes, my question is, the Arts Commission, anyone that can answer this. So I imagine your event was sold out. You hit your 25, right? Last time. That's true, right? How did you notify the public that it was sold out? Is something pop up when they go to the link and it says sold out, or you put out a social media message, or what?
I think in that event, we actually had exactly 25, right? I mean, correct me if I'm right. Yeah, so we were kind of fortuitous that we didn't have to worry about that. But I think that is something we'll have to address, because I do anticipate we'll probably have more than 25 registrants. Or
I think we can, but I think we can manage, and once we hit the cap, we can start a wait list, or say, if you want to be put on a wait list, please email, to the PAC. But I think that's something we can manage. I think that's something we have anticipated that we will probably fill out relatively quickly, and then just have to start a wait list. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Looks like Commissioner Daly has a question.
Yeah, staff can handle that. I mean, we did that with the Los Altos versus Los Altos Hills softball game. We had a limit on the number of players that we could have. So I don't, that won't be new. That's easily handled.
And we are planning to have a registration table. So when people come, they'll have to, check in, and then that's when they'll get their art supplies. So we're going to, try to control the process as much as possible.
Great. Thank you. Any additional questions from the Park Commission? It's looking like not. So going once, going twice. I think we just need to take a vote about whether or not we want to participate in the Art Commission's Kindness Rock event. And so if we could call for a vote on that, Casey?
Can we have a motion to participate?
Sorry, yes. Would someone like to create a motion to participate in the Rock event? Okay. I think I saw Vice Chair Corrigan's hand go up first, but I could be wrong. So please.
Okay, I would like to move that the Parks and Rec Commission support the Art Commission's event in June this is subject to discussion, with a minimum of one Parks and Rec Commissioner attending that event to support it.
Do we have a second for that motion? Commissioner Valadez seconds it. Thank you. Okay, now I think we're going to vote on it. So a show of hands, or Casey, if you want to call for a vote, that's fine.
I can call for a vote. Chair Morris,
Yes.
Vice Chair Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Valadez.
Yes.
Commissioner Daly,
Yep.
and Commissioner Ye.
I have to abstain because I don't know what we're talking about.
Do you want a quick summary?
Yes, I was just going to say, how about if we fill them in on what we're talking about? Okay. Would you like me to do that, Director Legge? Okay. So Commissioner Ye, the Art Commission presented that they're doing a rock painting event on June 25th. I believe it's 10 to 12. And they're asking if the Park and Rec Commission would like to participate in that event and basically collaborate with them on their pop-up event. And they're limited 25 participants. They'll have a sign-up system in place, and they just would like to know if we'd like to participate. And so that's what we're voting on, whether or not we will participate. Would you like to vote on that, or do you want to abstain?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great, Shannon. How you doing?
Good.
Okay, so I believe the next step will be that Casey or someone from staff will be emailing the commission, and we will let the staff know whether or not we're going to participate, and then we can let you, the Art Commission, know what we're planning to do and how many people are willing to participate. Okay, and thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. We appreciate it, and it's nice to see you all.
Thank you for having us.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
bye.
Bye.
I realize I made a mistake at the beginning of the meeting, and I'd like to correct that mistake. And it was that I did not ask if there were public comments not on the agenda. So I'd like to check in with Casey just briefly and ask her if there were any members of the public that were waiting to speak on any items not on the agenda.
Chair Morris, I don't have any pre-requests to speak, and like I did mention before, the only two members of the public are other public art commissioners, and they did not have their hands raised at the time and have subsequently, there is only one remaining. So I do not believe we have any public
Okay,
comment
thank
tonight.
you. I just wanted to circle back and make sure I didn't miss that. Okay, so our next agenda item is for our commission to discuss pop-ups in general. And the idea with the having it on the agenda is for Commissioner Valadez and I to get information, kind of find out your superpowers, what you might have that you can bring to the table as far as a pop-up event. And so we wanted to get your ideas, get your input about what you might like to see happen with a pop-up event. But very specifically, we're looking for if you have something that you would like to contribute to the pile of ideas. And I can give you a little information about that in that Commissioner Wang, who isn't with us this evening, did email when I asked her her question about her superpower. And she said she doesn't really have any superpower when it comes to things like doing pop-up, but she did have a friend who was on her way to France for a knitting event. And so she suggested knitting in the park and potentially working with the knitting store in downtown. So, and I had that on my list as well, because I happen to know how to knit. I'm a terrible knitter, but I like doing it. I'm really good at dropping stitches, but I had thought it's a very therapeutic thing. It's good for hand-eye coordination. There's a lot of fun in it too. So I had thought of that as an event. So I think that gives you an idea of kind of what we're looking for. So not knitting, but maybe you have some other thing you make. Maybe it's a boat that you make, or you know, some other craft idea or structure that you know how to make and are interested in sharing with Commissioner Valadez and I regarding the pop-up event. So with that, I will ask if anybody has anything they'd like to contribute to the conversation. Okay, and Commissioner Daly, thank you. Please get.
So my superpower is I'm a coach for decades, and I think we ought to do pop-up sporting events. We have historically done a softball game versus Los Altos Hills. There's actually a trophy that travels back and forth between the council chambers. And for some reason this year, Los Altos has said that we don't want to support it. I think we ought to view that as another pop-up event and try and support it. But if it's not that, it could be, you know, disc golf or, you know, just pick up volleyball or anything like that. Any kind of sport, you know, just any sporting event in the park. I would love to help, you know, kind of organize pickup games.
Great. I'm trying to mute myself and then I forget that I've done it. So that's perfect. So do you have a particular sport that you are most enamored with and most familiar with and great at? Is it softball or?
Well, softball's definitely one, but it doesn't lend itself to being a true pickup sport. Sports that people don't have to bring equipment for are better. So volleyball is an excellent one that, you know, anybody with, you know, any level of skill can join in and have fun. Soccer, you know, even, yeah, those are probably two really good examples.
Okay, and I know I should probably know this. Do we have volleyball nets in our park set up permanently?
Not permanently, but they're easy to set up,
Okay.
temporary volleyball nets. Quite
Okay.
easy to set those up. I don't know if the Parks Department has any.
Okay, all right. So I have volleyball, soccer, croquet. I added in as a possibility, badminton. I added in as a possibility because we have those nets, and softball. And you're saying that you don't think softball because you need equipment.
Well, softball is a little bit more planned. You know, I'd love to see us continue the tradition of playing Los Altos Hills. But you know, that's planned. We actually practiced 2 nights a week for almost 6 weeks last summer.
Right.
And you know, being a coach, I happen to have all the equipment that we need, but you know, it's a truckload of stuff to show up at practice with bow nets and tees and ball machines and, you know, all the gear that supports a robust practice. That's why I kind of favor something like soccer or volleyball, where you get a ball and a net in the case of volleyball, or 2 nets in the case of soccer, and you just go. That's it.
Perfect. All right, great. Thanks. Any other things that you want us to know about?
Frisbee football is a good one too, by the
I'm
way.
sorry, football?
Frisbee football.
Oh, Frisbee football. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, anyone else? Be brave. Vice Chair Corrigan?
This is not my superpower in any way, shape, or form, but Commissioner Ian and I had talked about, and with Director Legge, about how to promote skateboarding. So is there something we could do in some area of Los Altos to have a skate exhibition, or, you know, I don't know, just something around skateboarding or skating? That's my one suggestion.
Okay, great. I mean, I wonder if just having a skateboard meetup and then have some special, I don't know, guest or something like that that could be there that could give a few pointers. That might be something to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and also Jason Strubing over at Skateworks, he has all the equipment, like the ramps and things like that are mobile.
Great. Okay. Thanks. And does anybody else have anything to share? Commissioner Ye, do you have any particular thing you want to add in here or no?
Can you give me a little description of what the events are like, what these entail?
Well, Commissioner Valadez and I have not met yet, and I'm thinking a lot of the subcommittees haven't had formal meetings yet, but I'm guessing that there'll be short events, and they may be quite informal. I'm not sure we're going to do it quite as formally as they are with the Paint a Rock event, but we'll have to, you know, pound that out a little bit. But it's basically just to get people more involved with the parks, have them enjoy the parks, understand that we as a park commission are here, make the parks more fun, you know, have some just literally pop-ups where people show up and we go, hey, we're doing this, you know, do you want to participate, kind of a thing. So, and it's okay if you don't have an idea now, everybody, you know, can add as we go too.
Yeah, I don't have anything right now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so Commissioner Valadez.
I think the idea of whether these are truly, you know, unscheduled, just in the true sense of the word pop-up, we'll probably have to look at parks and see where there are lots of people around, you know, either a targeted age or, you know, it may be that Los Altos parks aren't as reliably full as maybe we think, or maybe they are. And then, so the idea of plopping a pop-up in the corner of a very highly populated park might work. But, you know, if we find that we want to have something at a park that is typically not very full and there's not a lot of walking traffic, we might end up with nothing to do. So we'll have to do some figuring out on that to determine, you know, maybe some are more structured with advanced registration, but maybe some are something that we could walk over to Shout Park where it's very busy and just set a table out and start doing something. In terms of, you know, things to do, I thought that it might be interesting as a couple of ideas, or like doing a sneaker or cap or hat painting. You know, kids bring, or adults bring their sneakers, their blank sneakers, and we customize them. You know, there's a whole discipline surrounding customization of sneakers that's very professional, and I'm not talking about that. Although maybe we could find somebody that does do actual sneaker customization, and they could come lead a very easy, low-key session for, say, teens or something. But you can also go the very simple route with, you know, with little kids or older people to customize hats or to customize shoes. And that's just a fun activity. We would just have to provide the kinds of paints that can actually color, you know, canvas or leather. So there might be some expense associated with that. And then I also am a big fan of like doing like obstacle courses with little kids, pop-ups with little obstacle courses with multiple types of what I call toys. It could be a soccer ball. It could also be a hula hoop. It could be, you know, throwing something or tossing something, but it's a series of events that kids have to go through. You can even go do that for adults, you know, to go through various obstacle courses to do activities, and they can have fun. So I like the idea of obstacle courses. I wondered if there was some collaboration we could do in a pop-up around pickleball on a small scale. So maybe contacting the pickleball group and seeing if they could do a brief like community introduction, maybe even different ones depending on the age group, like one targeted for kids and one targeted for teens and one targeted for adults to orient the group to the activity and show them what it's about before they, you know, venture out on their own. Something intended for beginners, specifically intended for beginners. Those are things that are on the top of my brain right now.
Great. We've also discussed collaborating with other commissions. So if anybody has any ideas regarding that, but we're talking about perhaps the Youth Commission, the Senior Commission, obviously the Art Commission. I have some ideas for the Environmental Commission. So if you have any ideas yourself, Commissioner Daly, please.
I'd love to do a cribbage tournament in the park with the Senior Commission.
Okay. Okay, great.
I have one more that I forgot to read off. That it was on the next page of my list, and I can't believe I forgot it because it is my superpower. I collect and cultivate cactus and succulents. So if we wanted to put on some kind of a, a little planting workshop, how to blend your own soil, different kinds of soil, depending on, maybe 2 or 3 different kinds of, or categories of succulents or cactus, and then let people, walk out with their little pot and their little plant, and then, but they know how to kind of keep it alive so they don't kill it. That's something that is definitely in my realm of expertise.
Great. And I have a whole list that I've been keeping going, a running list of ideas. And I figured that I would run them by Commissioner Valadez, and she can just say yay or nay to some of them. But there are some of the obstacle courses. That's what I was thinking of too. That I saw a really fun event. I actually talked to Director Legge about it, and it involved tricycles. And then there was another city that had, at the CPRS, they have an event where they have children come with their bikes and trikes, and they do an obstacle course, and they get mini driver's license with their pictures on it. So, and then I think they get something else too. Anyway, it was really super cute idea that this other city does. So I think we have some really great things that we'll do. And I love the ideas that each of you have brought forth this evening too. And if you do have any ideas that you feel like we need to discuss more, we can certainly put this on the agenda again. And once Commissioner Valadez and I meet, I'm sure we'll be bringing ideas forward and get your input on those. So are there any other comments or concerns or questions or anything regarding this pop-up idea? I don't see anybody with any hands up for anything. Okay. So I think that's basically the gist of what that topic is about, the pop-up activities. Commissioner Valadez, do you agree with that? Is there anything you want to add?
No, I think, we need to sit down and flesh it out, and, kind of what we expect of different categories of activities. We will have to talk about, funding, how we fund this. Some of the activities would probably be no cost or low cost, and some of them might require buying materials. So we'll need to discuss those issues over time.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really helpful that we help with the commission event, because they've done a couple already. So this will be a good opportunity for us to learn from them as well, about how they do it and how they've organized things. So it'll be fun to work with them too. So hopefully these events, all of them, will get good participation from the commissioners, and that's what I'm hoping, that we can do that and support each other and also support the other commissions when they have their ideas and need some help too. So I think given that, unless anybody has anything else, we're done with that agenda item 2. And we can move on to discuss agenda item 3, which is in-person commission meetings. And I think I'll turn that over to Director Legge so she can give us some information about that.
Thank you, Chair Morris. It's been tradition that following the joint council and commission meetings that we just touch base and, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm starting at the joint meeting feedback. So let me go back to the in-person commission meetings. So City Council at the regular meeting of May 24th will be discussing when they might want to do in-person council meetings, and a lot of it will depend on the completion of the improvements that are being done at the council chambers. I believe that will be within the next several months. So at the last city council meeting, actually at the joint meeting, at several commissions before we spoke, they were asking us to just do a check-in with each of the commissions to see what the comfort level of each commission might be to do in-person meetings in the future. So there are several options. You can say you want to wait until you see what council does. You can say you want to play it by ear. you could say, whatever you might, but it's basically just a discussion, just to get a general idea of what the commission's feelings are. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Legge. And I'm not sure if I heard you say this or if I spaced out. They'd be hybrid, I believe, if we go back, there'd still be that opportunity. But hybrid for the public, I don't know that
That's
be
what
hybrid
the
for us.
council,
Oh, the council will talk about it. Okay. Okay.
yes.
So we just need to know how everybody feels about this idea of going back in person, or would we rather wait and see what council decides they want to do? Does anybody want to chime in with what they want or how they're feeling? Yes, Commissioner Ye.
I'm fine either way. I've been going in person for the past, I don't know, 16 months. So I'm used to it.
Okay, great. Yes, Commissioner Valadez.
I was fine until I caught COVID. So now I'm stuck in COVID and I can't seem to get positive. So I wouldn't be able to attend anyways. I have definitely am sick. And I'm vaxxed and boosted and, still caught it and have symptoms. So for that reason, I would need to depend on hybrid at least.
Okay, great. And appreciate that you're here, by the way. I do know that you've been suffering with that. So thank you for being here. And I'm really glad we're virtual. All right, Commissioner Daly.
I don't think we should ever go back to in-person meetings.
Okay.
I find Zoom, or in this case, Ring Central, to be highly efficient. And I'm sensitive to the fact that it is now 8 o'clock, which is relatively early in the evening for a commission meeting, but it's pretty late in the day for somebody who has to work for, the city. And, staff's ability to participate remotely probably makes things easier for them. And I also know from my interaction with the residents that many of them participate where they wouldn't be able to if it were in person. Now, I know they would be covered as well by hybrid meetings, but I think that, city council could and should meet in person, so be it. But with all the commissions that the city has and the burden that places on staff, I don't think that the benefit to meeting in person outweighs the efficiency that we get from these remote meetings.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Corrigan.
It's interesting. I was along the lines of Commissioner Ye, but I still am, but Commissioner Daly makes a really cogent argument for remote meetings. The benefits he outlined are compelling. So obviously we'll adhere to what the council wants, but I hadn't thought about it, but remote makes more sense to me. I'm fine coming in person if that's the consensus. I have no qualms, but I understand why people would. So I'm open-minded, but I think remote actually makes more sense. That's it.
Yes, Commissioner Ye.
Yeah, it's still going to be hybrid. So the people who are afraid to go back out in public can still stay at home, or the people who are tired, as Commissioner Daly said. But man, being in person makes a whole lot of difference for me, anyways. Because during these Zoom meetings, I'll start to space out or not pay attention because this is just not the way I like to communicate. And I have not even met like half the commission, and so I don't really know how you guys behave like in real life, not on video. So we could do this forever, but again, I have like a web browser open. I'm like in like an outdoor office where I'm just like zoning out. So yeah.
Okay. My input in that is that I will wait and see obviously what the city council says. I do have my concerns as far as COVID numbers are rising, and I've been very careful in my life about not exposing myself as much as possible. But I've also opened up and I'm doing some traveling now that I wasn't doing before. I'm still masking. So I do have some concerns about it. And I do think, given that, say, Commissioner Valadez has gotten COVID and, even with her vaccines and boosting, that's what I've been hearing. And I had just heard of a family, all the grandchildren, the children, everybody got it. So, so that's my concern. And also, if we have anybody on the commission who has any issues with their immune system, I am not sure that it's appropriate for us to put them on the spot to say, you have to tell us whether or not you have a compromised immune system and you have to show up at these meetings. So those are just, it's a sort of an access issue for me. However, I'm 100% on board with what Commissioner Ye said, which is when we meet in person, I do think we have a different relationship and we interact differently. I think that has been a real problem since we've gone virtual for people. So I could see something like some of our meetings are in person and some of them aren't. But I also would like to know, like maybe we have, one a quarter that's in person or something like that, that is an option. I also would like to know that the council chambers are ready. We don't know that they're not ready yet. So of course we wouldn't be doing this until they were ready, if we do it at all. And then the second is I would want good ventilation in there and I'd like us to be able to be distant. So those are just my inputs about going back in person. I'd probably masked up or work out some other system where I felt comfortable being with people in an enclosed space. And certainly for controversial topics, if we have any in the future, I would be worried about a packed chambers. So with a lot of the public. So that's kind of my input on it. Yes, Commissioner Ye.
Yeah, and also don't forget, every week we get public comment. I have no idea who's talking. I have no idea who these people look like. If I ran into them on the street, they may know who I am because I'm on video, but I'm just going to walk by them and I'm just going to ignore them because I have no idea who they are.
Right.
And when people are in person, they tend to be more considerate in their comments because you're not just kind of mouthing off online and then you go back to your whatever, basement. So I don't know, I'm all for in person, and for the people who can't do it, that issue still exists even if we didn't have COVID. If you're immunocompromised, you probably shouldn't be cruising around outside anyways. So I don't know, that's just my input.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that conversation? Commissioner Daly.
Testing, right? If we go back to in-person meetings, testing is so prevalent now that we can just simply institute a policy that involves some testing, right? You don't come to an in-person meeting unless you have a test. I do PCR testing on a weekly basis for part of a disease surveillance program at Stanford. And it's really super easy to take those tests. And I just do it every time I go on campus.
That's great. Okay. Yeah. And so, and I'm wondering, Casey, if you have any information about chambers, were you able to find anything out about that? I know Director Legge said she might be able to, but she's not with us right now for some reason.
She's logging back on. She had a technical difficulty, so she's rebooting her entire system. We were not able to find anything out this afternoon as far as the anticipated date for the completion of the council chambers. The last time I was in them, which was approximately a week ago, they were starting to look complete. They really are doing well. I think it's, excuse me, some of the AV aspects are still being worked out, and some of the door systems are still being finished.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And it looks like Vice Chair Corrigan, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted, it was interesting with Commissioner Daly mentioned the testing aspect. And for me, that would be, I mean, I clearly understand the value of it, but it does sound like another hurdle. So I'd kind of want to know, just getting out to get a test each time is a little bit of, overhead. So I would not be a big fan of it. I'd do a temperature check or whatever, but I would do the testing if that's what we have to do. But I'd like to.
I would assume the city would supply the tests, right? I would assume that we'd make it relatively easy on commissioners and staff to do the testing. That's the problem. If you make testing hard, you don't get the results you want. You don't get people to participate.
Fair enough.
The other thing to keep in mind is that if you've ever had,
Valadez, I'm sorry, just wanted to put your name in there, Commissioner Valadez.
so now I'm on the side where, because I've now had COVID, I will be testing positive on PCR for months and months and months. So I would hope that if we use it as a screening test for health, that we use the antigen test that tests for, the virus proteins, because the PCR will retain your positivity for a really long time.
I think you have it backwards.
No, she's right.
I was just told that today by my doctor.
She's definitely right, because I deal with that on international flights like every month.
Antigen tests have far more false results. The PCR tests are much more accurate.
It has nothing to do with accuracy. It has to do with the
She's gonna test positive on PCR for like a few months.
yeah, it's the duration, because you have, even though you're now healthy and no longer infectious and don't even have any symptoms, you still have pieces of the virus in you. They're just not replicable. They don't replicate, and therefore they don't infect, but they're in your body, and a PCR test will decode that.
Yeah, it's like one of our 3 CDC qualifications for international travel is if you've had it, you just have a doctor's note saying you've been positive in the last 3 months, and that you're gonna screw up every test. So that's kind of how that's one of the exceptions.
So it sounds like we're a little bit split on this, and that I think that a lot of really good points have been brought up regarding the idea of it. And I'm not sure if council decides that we have to go back, how that'll work for people, but it sounds like we will have some people that won't be able to attend no matter what at this point. And if anybody else gets COVID, that may come up again. So do we want to, I'm not sure, sorry, Casey, I don't know if we need to send a message back to council, or if Council Member Weinberg, who's attending our meeting, will share the information that he's heard this evening.
So
Yeah.
Staff will also compile. I took notes, kind of some of the pertinent points from each commissioner. We will share that. But Councilmember Weinberg has his hand raised, so you might want to.
All right, Councilmember Weinberg, please, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. I probably should not have raised my hand because Casey, I think, was saying what I was about to say. I'm not going to necessarily report back to council myself, but I think all of the council liaisons will talk with the city manager, and the city manager or someone on his staff will prepare a report for council if and when the time comes that we're going to start discussing going back to in-person meetings. I shouldn't say if or when. I think it is going to be on our agenda within the next 2 or 3 meetings, I hope. And our staff report, I think, will reflect what staff has heard from the various commissions. There's no need for a formal motion or anything like that.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Casey, I think you hear that we have some absolute yeses, and we have some maybe nots. And I think it would be interesting, the point that Commissioner Daly brought up about staff, it would be interesting to know if this works better for staff and if it is more convenient for them. I know what the response will be in general, which is staff will do what staff is told to do, right? But maybe it would be nice to know, I think it would be nice to know if this works better for staff or doesn't work for staff. And then a couple of us are sort of, or at least I am sort of on the border of a yes and a no on that. So, and I'd at least like to get through summer. And I don't know if anybody else has sort of an idea of when they feel like, yeah, I'd like to be back in person by a certain time, or if it's just you know, or if maybe the idea of that hybrid of occasionally we're in person and the rest of the time we're via Ring Central or Zoom. And actually, if the numbers go up, maybe there's something in that too. Does anybody have a sense, like if the numbers keep going up, would you feel differently about meeting in person, or would you be okay with it even if the numbers go up? And Commissioner Ye.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And also for the newer commissioners who've never done in person, the way we conduct meetings now is kind of like this like debate style where it's like, hey, it's your turn, and then you pass the baton to the next person, then it's like someone else, you wait in line. There's less discourse that way because you have the opportunity to kind of grandstand. When we're in person, it's a lot more back and forth because you can kind of read people and you don't have to raise your hand because they can't see you, and you're not just like stepping on each other when you're talking. So it makes it more lively of a conversation as opposed to, okay, we're going from point A and then someone else does point Z, and then, okay, well, I'm going to bring up my point, and then it won't be my turn again for a while, so I'm going to bring up another point. And then it's just kind of this like disjointed conversation where everyone kind of just grandstands their point, and then the chair has to kind of tie everything together.
Right. It is a little more organic, a little more fun, I think, in person, that's for sure. And I do think there is a little more respect that comes with in person. Yes, Casey.
I just wanted to let you know, Donna is back on the phone. So hopefully I'll be able to allow her to talk. She's having some major technical difficulties tonight. But she is back at the meeting.
Okay. And
yeah, I can't get this to work on any Android or PC device. It only works on Apple.
oh, it's working on my PC, but I had to have my husband come in and help me. And it was a little bit of a kind of a thing until we got it going. But I started 10 minutes early and it took 8 minutes to get it to work for us. And he's a pro. So there is something that's a little awkward about it. But anyway, okay. So Director Legge, did you have anything you wanted to add in? We were talking about the in-person.
No, I don't want to take up time from the meeting, so I will read the minutes and get an update from Casey.
Okay, perfect. So unless anybody has anything else to add, I think that is the end of it for the in-person commission meetings conversation. Yeah, it sounds like we don't need to take any action on it. We're just going to rely on staff to have them provide input to the city council about how we feel about it. So, okay. I think we're ready to move on to informational items. And thankfully, our fearless leader is back with us for this, but we had a joint meeting with City Council where Commissioner Valdez and Vice Chair Corrigan presented. And so we need to get just a little rundown on that. And Director Legge, were you going to give us some information on that?
Yes, hi. Basically, it's been tradition for us to just provide some feedback and any input based on the joint meeting on May 3rd. I think it was May 3rd. So it's just an opportunity if there were any commissioners that had any comments as we move forward to accomplish the items that were presented to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. So do any commissioners have any input they want to give regarding this topic? And maybe you can just tell us how you thought it went, Commissioner Valdez and Vice Chair Corrigan, if you want to, either of you. Yes, Commissioner Valdez.
I think we had a good turnout of the commission, better than some others. So I think everybody here pretty much heard what was said. We didn't have too many questions from the council. There wasn't anything terribly controversial that we were putting out there. So I thought it went smoothly. We went quickly, and I'll let John give his own opinion of how the council, any council questions for himself, how he felt about those. But from my end, in terms of talking about the accomplishments, I think there wasn't anything spectacularly out of sync or anything. It went smoothly.
Thanks. Vice Chair Corrigan, do you have anything you want to add?
Not much else. I think Commissioner Valdez captured. I think those of us who were on would agree. And I just thought it was very positive. It was really a supportive environment from the council. I really appreciated that. I think our commission appreciates that level of support and acknowledgement. So I don't have anything to add.
Okay, I would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure the other commissioners feel the same way. You two did a beautiful job with the presentation, and it was greatly appreciated that you did it, and it was very impressive and well done. And of course, I expected that from you two, and I wasn't disappointed. So it was beautiful. Thank you for doing it. That's for sure. And so, are there any other questions from other commissioners? Yay or Daly? Do you have anything? No? Okay. All right. So moving on. And let's see. Let me check the time because I want to be aware. So it's just 8:09. Is everybody okay to continue on through the rest of the agenda? Okay. I know normally we take a break at 9. We may be done before that. So moving along. The next is oral reports. So does anybody have any reports that they want to share with the commission regarding their subcommittee? The subcommittees, any progress you want to share? Yes, Vice Chair Corrigan.
Just going to say that the market research subcommittee that we're going to be meeting early June as a subcommittee to go through and probably iterate on a proposal beforehand as to what this market research plan will evolve into. So we are starting to convene and get some forward momentum just on the calendar here.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? No, I'll add that Commissioner Valadez and I will be meeting. I think a number of us were holding off until after the City Council joint meeting so that we knew whether or not we were able to move forward on our subcommittees. And Commissioner Valadez and I have spoken a couple times, one just before this meeting, and we will be getting together to discuss some pop-up activities. So, but does anybody else have anything they want to report, or are we all just going to start working on our subcommittees? I think that's it. Nobody has anything to add. Okay, so staff, turning it over to Director Legge. Do you have information for us?
Yes, thank you. I feel like I'm the invisible woman. So first I wanted to get back in response to the questions about the softball event that we normally do between Los Altos and Los Altos Hills. Can you still hear me?
We can, Donna.
Okay, thank you. So due to our budget limitations and the limited impact, we really looked at those community events that served a greater population. While we had good turnout of players, we did not have a good turnout for spectators as much as some of the other events. So for right now, we're just putting it on hold until COVID is more, gone and we have more budget in ours. So basically what happened is because of COVID, our budget was greatly reduced. And for this next fiscal year, it's about half of what it normally would be. Last year was even less. And so we just have to kind of pick and choose where we dedicate our time and our funding. So I just wanted to share that. So we are going to be emailing the full commission with some possible dates for doing some community outreach. We have secured 4 dates for the farmers market. So we'll be emailing you, but basically it's once a month starting in June through August. We actually have June, July, and 2 events in August. And then we also will have a table at the Los Altos Art and Wine Festival. So these are all great opportunities to collaborate with staff and the senior commission to work at information booths at these events. Also, I wanted to announce that the pickleball overlay striping will be happening this month, the May 19th and 20th. And also the dog park fencing at McKenzie Park in Hillview will be installed sometime mid-June, around June 20th. It'll take 3 days for installation. Also, I wanted to announce, this is the perfect segue in terms of the frustration we have with Ring Central. Effective next month, we are changing to using Zoom. So there are several upgrades, and we will be using what they call Zoom Professional, which is a higher grade than your average Zoom. And so they've, our IT team has really looked into the safetiness of using Zoom. And so we're really looking forward, because ever since Ring Central made their upgrades, they've really been downgrades, and we've been very frustrated with the service levels.
And I'm not sure you can see it, but Commissioner Daly raised his hand, and so that might be a relevant question.
Yes, Commissioner Daly.
Sorry, I just had another comment on the softball game. There were no spectators because, one, it was during COVID, and we decided that as a policy, we weren't going to have spectators. And two, it was at Purisima in Los Altos Hills. When we had the game at Rosita, we had 50 spectators and a big party. And as far as budget, I supplied all the equipment. The only thing the city paid for were Parks and Rec t-shirts.
Right, and I know it's a collaboration, but between, you know, the staff time is split between Los Altos Hills and Los Altos. So, but yes, for right now, it is not scheduled. It will not happen this year. Whether or not it will happen next year will be determined. So as you know, we won't be doing the concerts. We won't be doing Town Green. We won't be doing 4th of July. Those have all been removed from our budget. Any other questions about our events?
Yeah, Donna, can you repeat that list, please? I didn't realize you were going to rattle off a bunch of, so you said 4th of July.
4th of July, our summer concert series, the Town Green, which is, we used to have like an outdoor pop-up park with activities during the farmers market. Those won't be happening. So that's just through June 30th. We get a new budget starting in July. And so once the budget gets approved, as I mentioned, we will come back to the commission and give you an overview of what did get approved.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So as a reminder, right, our fiscal year ends June 30th. The last thing, it's, well, a couple of things. Well, I think I covered everything, the dog fence. So the last thing, it feels very awkward because I can't see you, but I have announced my retirement. And so I will be leaving in September of 2022. Some of you may or may not know, but I've been working in this field for 35 years, and it's been a really hard decision. I have a lot going on in my personal life, and I feel like it's time. So we have been discussing a transition plan, which involves a shifting of a lot of the responsibilities between various departments, creating, eliminating the Recreation Community Services Director position, adding one for sustainability and waste management. Our engineering is going to be taking on streets, and Manny, with his parks and facilities maintenance, will merge with the recreation and will be a bona fide Parks and Recreation Department. So we don't see that there will be many changes. We see that there's an opportunity for a lot of improvements. And so I just wanted to announce it because we have announced it to all the departments and the department heads. And we wanted you to hear it from me first before you hear it from the community. So I would be happy if anybody wants to meet with me and talk to me one-on-one about anything regarding my retirement, but I just wanted to let you know. So it may be as early as July, along with the fiscal year, that we will see sort of like a crossover and overlap between Manny and I. And as you know, Manny and I work very closely together, and we will be, sharing what that transition plan is as soon as we're finished figuring it all out. So I can't see you guys. So anyway, that's all I have to report now at this time.
Thank you for that. And I already told you it's a big, box of tissue time to hear that announcement. So I'm disappointed, and I think everybody should meet with her and tell her her plans have changed and she's staying longer and her retirement's delayed a little bit. So, but Donna, I know that I speak for all of us, and everybody may want to take a moment to be able to say something, but we have really benefited from having you. And I know I can speak very honestly that I have benefited greatly from having you as, I say, the fearless leader for this Park and Rec Commission, and your kindness and your knowledge and your the vim and vigor you bring into this is greatly appreciated. So it's a sad moment to know that you're retiring and letting us know, but we appreciate knowing. Does anybody else have any comments they want to make? It looks like Commissioner Valadez.
Yeah, Donna, I congratulate you on your retirement. But for me, it's a very sad day. You were instrumental in bringing me on to the commission and giving me the lay of the land and being very clear about roles and responsibilities. I also really appreciated, as you know, even outside the commission, your focus on increasing, on JEDI principles and increasing the diversity of our staff, of our endeavors within the city. And you brought your own diversity to the table. And I admired and appreciated that. And I'm going to be very sad that you're gone. But I wish you the best.
Thank you. Well, there'll be more opportunity for us to exchange. And as you guys know, I love my job. I love this field. And I will just be a phone call away.
All right, and it looks like we have, I'm not sure whose hand went up first. Casey, did you notice we have?
It was Vice Chair Corrigan.
Okay, Vice Chair Corrigan, you're up, and then Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Chair Morris. And Director Leggett, I just want to say I'm really sorry to hear about your departure. That's really a tough blow. I'm really happy that you're able to retire. It sounds like a very well-earned retirement after a really stellar career. And you were so helpful, so knowledgeable, so kind, a really great role model for the commission. And I really appreciate everything you did to help me throughout this process. Thank you. Just want to say thank you, and you'll really be missed.
Thank you, Commissioner Corrigan. Oh, Vice Chair Corrigan.
And Commissioner Daly.
Quickly, just a note for you, Chair Morris, you will always know who raised their hand electronically first, because they will be in the left uppermost quadrant on your screen.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah.
Donna, I just want to say you are a consummate professional. I have immensely enjoyed working with you. I'm going to miss you a ton, but I am super happy for the next stage of your journey. And I hope you have just a great time in retirement.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, luckily we get her for a little bit longer.
That's
So,
right.
think of all your questions and bring them on. 'Cause
Right.
she's a font. You are such a font of information, Donna. And as everybody said, just kind and so generous with giving us information. So it's appreciated. And yes, I agree. I hope the next part of your life journey is great. So. All right, I think, unless I'm making any mistake, oh, yes, we want to find out if there are any requests for future agenda items. Does anybody have anything that they would like to see on future agenda? I don't see any hands. Nobody moved positions, so I think we're okay on that. I do know that we probably need to discuss our vacation month, because it's my understanding that we typically do have 1 month. It looks like Casey's going to say something, but yeah.
I think that Donna was muted accidentally. I'm just
Oh.
making sure she can talk now
Okay.
in case she had anything to add about future agenda items.
I just really quickly, I just wanted to remind you that in June, we'll talk about how we might present the July is Parks Make Life Better month. So we usually read the proclamation to the city council. And then in the July, at the July meeting, we'll be doing the budget overview. So Casey and I will add those to the future agenda.
Great. And maybe the discussion of when typically we take a month off in the summer, so we can discuss that. Could that be on the future agenda? Are people open to that?
Yes, we can put that also on the future agenda.
Okay,
It's usually July or August.
right. So maybe commissioners can think about that. And is it okay if we put it on a future agenda? Everybody all right with that?
No,
No, I'm sorry, Commissioner Daly is not okay with that. Commissioner Daly, do you want to say anything?
yeah, we have a presentation on the budget in July, so we're not going to take July off.
No,
Let's take August off, right?
right. No, we're
Process
not
of elimination,
discussing it.
We can
Yeah.
deal with this like right away. It doesn't need to be on the agenda to discuss.
It doesn't?
It's
No.
just my opinion. It's just
If
my opinion.
everybody agrees.
Okay. So, all right, I don't want to make any mistakes and talk about things that we're not supposed to. So we can take a minute and decide when. And no, it wasn't being suggested that we take July, because we have things for that month. But yes, typically it is August. Do people want to take August off, or do people? So I see one very clear yes, and I see another one, Commissioner Valadez. So Commissioner Daly says yes, Commissioner Valadez says yes. Commissioner Yay, do you want to take August off?
I don't care.
Okay,
And,
neutral.
and Vice Chair Corrigan has his hand raised.
And Vice Chair Corrigan, I see. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I was just clarifying, you mean skip the August meeting?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I support that.
Okay, great. And I support it as well. So we have 4 solid yeses and 1 whatever. And the only thing I'll add to that, though, is Director Legge is going to send some dates out, and there are some events in August. So just so you know, there will be some things outside of the regular meeting where hopefully we'll get some volunteers for that. Okay, so it looks like we've decided August we will not be meeting.
Okay.
Unless there's something, urgent that comes up and you tell us about it at the next meeting or something like that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Great. And then I have a future agenda item that I would like to suggest and ask if we could add it. And it's to get a presentation for music features. So there are equipment, pieces of equipment that are music based, and there is a company that is quite well known in their music features. And it doesn't have to be them, it could be somebody else, but I'd like to ask if there is interest and if we could add that to a future agenda. It doesn't have to be anytime soon, but if so, yes, Commissioner Ye.
Yeah, Chair Morris, you're the chair, So you can just decide to do that.
I was told that I had to have 3 commissioners agree on it. So is that correct or incorrect?
There are supposed to be 3 commissioners that agree on it. So if 2 other people echo your suggestion, it can go on the agenda.
Okay. And I'll just say the reason that I'd like to do it is because I know Commissioner Valadez and I, as a JEDI subcommittee, we've talked about this. And I thought it would be nice, and hopefully that we can get some city council members to attend as well, because they don't know about it. I've mentioned it to a couple of them. So is there any interest in having this in a future agenda item? And I'm thinking September, okay, I have one, yes, it's Commissioner Valadez, and another one, Vice Chair Corrigan. So that gives us 3, unless it's supposed to be 3, not including me. But if it can include me, then we have 3. Okay, so let's add that to a future agenda item. And I think that's it for what we need to do tonight, unless anybody has anything else. Not seeing any hands. Everybody's good. Well, it is now 8:29 p.m. and I think we can close this meeting then. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. So glad that you were able to stay the whole time, Commissioner Ye, and safe travels to you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you,
Take
everyone.
care.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
A
Yes,
20-hour
you.
flight.
Oh, Lord. Safe travels. Hope you have good books. Bye.